Sex and the City obviously needs no introduction, both as a film series and a TV series. I will say I've never seen the TV series. I have no interest in watching it at this moment, but I really liked the first film a lot more than I thought, and as such I was keen to check out the second. The second one is quite long. It's over 2 hours, I believe, and it has quite a different narrative. Or really, actually what I should say, it's got a similar narrative, but kind of different location. This one is set in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. Obviously, that's giving us a completely different perspective to the first film, but the general character traits are still there. This was released in 2010, the sequel directed by Michael Patrick King and written by King, with the usual cast, including but not limited to Sarah Jessica Parker, Kim Cattrall, Kristin Davis, Cynthia Nixon, Chris Noth as Mr. Big. In terms of feeling like a sequel, I think it did two things well. It kind of retained the feel and the mood of the first film. And mainly I feel that was done through the characters, their attitudes and their behaviours. Obviously there is character development in the first film, and certainly in this second film, but it still felt like we were on a journey with the same characters, and that worked very well as a sequel. I think it also works well as a sequel because we're in a completely different location, so it doesn't just feel like they're redoing the first film with a few tweaks, which, you know, sometimes sequels can feel very repetitive. But this gives us a new environment, so the perspective is completely different, and I think that's pretty good. But again, the general ideas are still very similar. I'll read the description from IMDb, but if you've seen the first film, which I'm assuming you have, if you're listening to this, then you can kind of expect the same sort of emotions and themes happening. But the description says, while wrestling with the pressures of life, love and work in Manhattan, Carrie, Miranda and Charlotte join Samantha for a trip to Abu Dhabi, where Samantha's ex is filming a new movie. Yeah, I think the change of location is what makes it a bit more interesting. Carrie's relationship isn't perfect. Charlotte's daughter is about 2, and Miranda has work issues, kind of just all the generic issues that is usually faced in these kind of films. But again, the fact that it's in a different location gives it just a little bit of a twist to make it a bit more interesting. Also, Liza Minnelli is in it, as Liza Minnelli. I mean, what's not to love about that? It is quite long, longer than it needs to be. There were times when I thought the narrative was dragging, and I thought they could have cut out quite a lot, and it still would have been fairly interesting. Now, I'm obviously not saying that this is the most thrilling film that I've ever seen, but I was actually really quite impressed with it as a sequel, because I did enjoy the first film. I didn't think they'd be able to kind of make the second one quite as good, and it isn't. It's not as good as the first film. I have no idea how it compares to the TV series. But as a sequel, I was quite impressed. I might be quite alone in that opinion, because it's got 4.5 out of 10 on IMDb, with a Metascore of 27. Not that well received at all. And to compare that to the first film is 5.6 out of 10 with a Metascore of 53. So it's definitely not as well received as the first film, but I kind of expected that anyway. If you've seen the first film and liked it, definitely give it a go. If you saw the first film and didn't like the first film, I think there's not much of a chance of you actually liking this, but, you know, if you think you might still enjoy it, definitely give it a go, because I thought it was alright. Probably better than alright. I thought it was pretty good. The length, a bit long, drags a bit, but ultimately well directed, great locations, costumes are fantastic, characters reasonably well developed throughout. I have no real issues with it.